Well, here we are. Things are about to get interesting in Washington state. When I campaigned, I told all my constituents that there was rampant fraud throughout Washington, including Everett. And now here we are. The Minnesota Washington fraud link is now starting to come to fruition. And I'm glad that finally people are starting to pay attention. We have tons of independent journalists just doing mass dumps of everything that they can find in not just Minnesota, but now they're looking everywhere, including Washington state. This is very good news. This is fantastic. This is the weak link that is going to break this chain. And all we have to do is keep pushing, keep telling people, keep sharing, and keep letting people see the rampant fraud that's going on in all of our communities. It goes beyond just Somalian fraud. It goes beyond any real true singular nationality. Yeah, you got Venezuelans, you got Somalians. Our region here in the Pacific Northwest is very unique. Our ballots were more than just stuffed with Chinese ballots and fraudulently mailed in and scanned with Dominion machines, etc., that flipped votes for other candidates. Nothing that we have now has been voted on. And what I mean by that is all the taxes we've been paying, all the judges that we've had that have been ruling in a fraudulent, you know, manner that doesn't jive with the will of the people. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why there's something in you that is telling you that there has been a major injustice, not just occurring to you as individuals, but to everybody else. And this is the leak in the dam, and it's breaking. So you don't go from billions of dollars in surplus to all of a sudden having huge budget deficits and passing one of the largest tax bills in history, 4 years later. This is all by design. This is what it's like in new modern warfare. It is not a hot war. It has been a very cold 40-year long war. And they thought they were going to win, and they thought nobody would catch on to the fraud. The only question now is if it's too little too late, or if there's a way we can turn this around. The only way to turn it around in Washington state is there has to be federal intervention in our elections. Our entire state has been compromised. We only have one or two representatives in the state of Washington that truly are sticking up for fellow Republicans and voter integrity. Everybody else, they're compromised, and those two people just aren't going to do it. So we need to stick by the people that we know are petitioning and pushing forward with voter reform. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen at a state level. We're just simply outnumbered. And there has to be federal intervention. That is what the federal government is for. Whenever you have a state that has gone rogue and corrupt, that's when the federal level has to step in. So, by all means, please step in because we could sign petitions all day long. We could try to get, voter ID on the ballot, and then there'll just be some rogue judge that overturns it, tells us we don't know what we're voting for. That's exactly what they did with our card tabs. Why would they not do that with voter integrity? It's not even a question of would they, we know they would. And that deters a lot of people from going out of their way and signing these petitions because they know the game has been rigged their entire life against them. 40 years of rule. Some of us are close to being just 40 years old. That's our whole lives. All we've known is fraud, and we've seen it. So these older generations have known that this fraud was going on, and they didn't fight for it. But now we're at an advantage where we can fight for it. So we have to keep pushing forward. You have to override the fraud. Overriding the fraud is speaking as loud as you can to whoever will listen. And every chance I get to speak for other people to listen, I do it. So stay strong, Washington. It's going to be a bumpy ride in 2026. Apparently, in January, uh, coming up here next month, Trump is going to do a big old data dump and prove that the elections were fraudulent in 2020. If they were fraudulent in 2020, which means they were been stealing the whole time. So this last election, yeah, they stole it. They stole it from every district. It's modern warfare. This is modern warfare. There's stuff in ballots. They're taking votes. They're hacking machines. They're in every legislative body of our governance you can think of. They're in every state, local, federal level that you can think of. Your city council, it's all ran by communists. Your mayor, communist. They select communist police chiefs. They select communist fire chiefs. If you have a flag, a United States flag in front of your house, they look at you as if you're a terrorist. So it's not a question of if, it's this is what has happened. This is where we are. This is the reality of where we are right now as a society. A lot of us have been ran through the ringer, the judicial system, because we've been fighting this battle for a very long time. I've been fighting this battle for 15 years now. I've been tried, I've been convicted, I've been ran through the ringer, I've lost my house, my family, I've lost everything. I had to build from the ground up. And that's a sacrifice. That's what it means to be integrity. And having that will and believing in God and knowing that no matter what happens, as long as if you're on the side of the truth, that you will prevail. So stay strong, keep exposing the fraud, and just keep plowing through. Plow through every day. Expose the fraud. We know it's there. We know it's fraudulent. Um, just right here in Washington State, you got a bridge being built for 60, 80 million. The company contracting it, you go to their website, 25 million. Our city hall, you got a building over there, $9 million budget. It's at 30 million. A $200,000 bathroom, 2.53 million, plus another 2 million randomly thrown at it. I mean, look at the sidewalks, $50,000 for a curb. It's maybe 10 feet long. I mean, it's ridiculous, and the fraud is everywhere. You have $90,000 spent per homeless person. You ask homeless people you see every day for the last 10 years, they've only got maybe 50, $60 worth of stuff. I mean, 10 years, that's almost $1 million. You would have been better off just giving them the money. So that's where we are. So stay strong. Remember, even though you think your vote doesn't count, we have to override the fraud. You can only flip so many votes. And I know it's disheartening. It is disheartening. I threw my hat in the man. I'm the man in the arena. I I threw my hat in there every chance we have where there's an election, whether it's federal or state. I throw my hat in the arena. And yes, you get ridiculed, you get death threats, you have people randomly calling you with weird things at all hours of the night because you put your number on there. And let's face it, we're just average people. There's nothing special about us. We work we work to the bone. Not a rich person at all, and I'm happy and I'm humble, and God has blessed me, and I like to share my knowledge with other people and push forward as well. So all I can say is the fraud's coming to an end. Pay attention, watch your back when you're exposing these people because they do get hostile and they're in every facet of the government. They're in your utility districts, they're in your city, your state, they're at your workplace. They will try to get you fired. They will spread rumors. They will slander you. They will do everything in their power. The only advice I can give you when you're getting involved in this game and you're starting to get your hands dirty is you have to watch your back and always speak with integrity and always confront the lie with the truth. Because at the end of the day, the truth is everything. The best disinfectant is light. Shine light on it as bright as possible. And realistically, that's all we're trying to do. And every time I ran, I knew I wasn't going to win. The fraud was too high. The stakes are too high. You don't have people running in local elections for an office that only pays 20,000 a year. It's meant to be a part-time job. You're meant to be a member actively participating in the community, and then you do this thing once a week, and you participate in making things better for the constituents. You are supposed to be the voice for that district. So when you have people running as a district member, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, getting it from NGOs and getting it from all these other organizations, that's a huge red flag. And where is this money coming from? We're finding out where the money's coming from. The money's coming from fraud. It's coming from all these empty buildings that you see in Everett that say they're occupied. They're not really occupied. They're empty. And I've been saying this for years. Everett is dying. This city is dying. If you look in all your Democratic controlled cities, they are dying. If you look at buildings, we have big buildings here in downtown Everett. Some of them have big branded names on them, and you go to them when you call the number. It's made up. It's fake. They just put a big sign on a building right across from our health department to make it look like it's an active business, and it's not. It's an NGO fraud. They're taking money from the state on contracts. They're not doing the work. They're collecting millions of dollars. It's a complete fraud. If anybody else would have done this, they would have been locked up in prison. And the thing is the prosecutors know about this, the judges know about it, the detectives know about it. Everybody knows about it, but nothing happens because they are in control. They control everything about this city. They control everything in your city. If you're in a Democrat controlled city, they are in control. If you see buildings that are empty, odds are they probably hold the leases to it. Odds are they probably have NGOs operating out of a lot of these empty businesses. And there's a reason why when you call law enforcement, they ignore it. There's a reason why they keep giving them a pass. There's a reason why they let it get dilapidated. And then you have the owners who speak up against the city. There's a reason why they get pulled in by the police. It's a reason why they do fraudulent investigations like they did against me. There's a reason why they break the law and then charge you as the owner like they did with me, because people will see that. And then the run front, you have the Everett Herald. The Everett Herald is a paid for propaganda machine. They do the city of Everett's propaganda. So you have this whole generation that is very easily influenced. Older generation likes to cracking open newspapers, very judgmental. They pass on their influence to other people that are influenced by them because you see them as, they're older. They're supposed to be your superior. They're supposed to be giving you good advice, but they're getting their info from a tainted source. The city of Everett, the Everett Herald, is a tainted source. I've caught them lying over and over and over again. I have done multiple interviews with them, and every time they lie and they manipulate everything that I say. They never publish the truth. They never even publish the topic. I went and sat down for a 2.5 long interview, 2.5 hours. We talked about politics and everything else. And at the end of the day, all I got was a little blurb after they promoted their candidates. They completely diminished the entire purpose of me being there. Looking at it now, I will never do another interview with the Herald because it's legacy media. They're dying, and that's the reason why. Just recently, we had an oil leak right down on EB or the flats, and it was horrible. My Northwest published a article on it saying, "Oh, there's a leak." That day, when I started spreading it and I posted it on the City of Everett website, they retracted that story and they said that the leak was under control and it was fixed. 2 weeks later, it made national headlines because they had to truck fuel into SeaTac. And then we had major flooding in that area not even a week later. Was it fixed? Why was the National Guard not called in? If you're the city of Everett mayor and you literally have a huge natural disaster going on, you call in the National Guard. No questions asked. That day, that's what they're for. That was a huge, huge emergency. Huge ball dropped. And nobody's reporting on it. Nobody. So, yeah, there's tons of fraud. There's tons of fraud. And when you commit fraud, They don't care. They don't care. We're taxed out of their price bracket. I think the annual salary for the mayor is like $270,000 a year, and they make these wild pay scales for them because for you to run for office, you have to pay a certain percentage of what your pay would be as if you had that position. You see the fraud? They go and they price you out. They're pricing regular people out from running for that office. And then they tell you, oh, you go down and run around and get votes and stuff like that. Well, that may have been fine, 10, 15, 20 years ago, but that's not the norm now. You made it such a hostile environment, people don't want to walk up to a stranger's house. They don't want to knock on a stranger's door. People are afraid of talking to other people because you've had this city living in constant fear. People don't know how to act like just normal people anymore. There is a huge problem with the integration of people in society right now. And it's a large systemic issue, and they don't want to address it because this is modern day warfare. We get charged easily for the average house $1,800, $1,900 a year in just property taxes for these teacher unions. Yet again, the teachers union was heavily involved with our candidate for District 1 when it came for the city council. Huge conflict of interest. Enormous. A lot of people in this town aren't even having kids anymore. The population growth used to be 3.5 kids per family. It's down to one. So not only do you have a massive decline in the amount of kids, you have a massive decline in the amount of kids even going to school. Yet they petitioned and spent money to have a candidate that nobody even heard of before get elected to an office. For why? Why do you think they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this candidate in there? Believe me, when the time comes, they're going to push for more money for taxes for the school district. Meanwhile, they're talking about building a stadium, which would in turn terminate a lease, taking almost $6 million a year from the school budget. Does that sound fiscally responsible? And then they do it under a guise saying it was for MLB. But there's no record of MLB reaching out and having that discussion. And then come to find out it was the city of Everett's Herald that was pushing the narrative. The Everett Herald not only pushed the narrative, they pushed it onto our city council. They pushed it onto our mayor, and now nobody wants to admit fault, and now that we're completely duped by the Everett Herald. Because nobody from MLB wants to cough up that that discussion never took place. You see the fraud? And now you have corporations such as Funko that are literally going bankrupt in front of our eyes. They had to move to Arizona just to keep up production because the cost of labor was so expensive here and because the cost of rent. And now you have Funko in downtown Everett. I don't see them lasting more than a year. There was an article where somebody internally accidentally slipped and said they were probably going to be going under and moving by the end of next year. So yeah, Funko is not a safe bet. Enjoy it while it's here. But Funko is going to be gone. There will be no Funko filled. There will be no tenant. And then you have constant land acknowledgments every time they have meetings, every time they have ceremonies and stuff for high schoolers and middle schoolers graduating. They do these stupid, ridiculous land acknowledgments, not even acknowledging the real history of the native tribes that used to be here, which were violent when one would take after another, what would take over another, which would take over another. Constant conflict amongst themselves, constant battle. It was clear survival of the fittest. And not just that, but I mean, the definitive response for was this actually their land or not? Well, we came as conquerors, our European ancestors, just as they came as conquerors from their Asian ancestors. And the ancestry isn't even in doubt. That's been confirmed by modern technology. So they can play this game where they do the land acknowledgments, and they do it because they're trying to mentally condition people. They're trying to mentally condition younger people into believing that there's no such thing as property ownership because you never own the land. But yet, the city isn't giving it back to the tribe. No, no, no. They're charging you rent. So you don't own your property. It's stupid. I don't pay annual taxes on my TV, my couch, my clothes. I don't pay annual taxes on everything but my house. That's the one property that the city thinks that they can just go and tax. It's my property. I bought it. I paid sales tax when I bought this place. And that's all that you're really required to do. So they are coming in, and it's not, it's, they amended the Constitution just to get away with this. The bankers did. Okay. Your employment taxes and stuff like that. They need to start teaching this in history because this is all newer stuff. This is all like 120 something years ago. They started doing this. There was more period, length of period in time since 1776 where these taxes weren't paid than there is time that we have been paying. We need to revert back to our Constitution, and it can be done, but it's going to take a generation of people that are pissed off with this stuff. And I'm hoping that's our generation. But don't let them dupe you. And they dupe you by doing these stupid land acknowledgments, trying to get people mentally conditioned. It's psychological warfare. This is what they do. So hopefully common sense gets in office. Hopefully 2026 is a year. Hopefully Trump pushes through and actually gets voter integrity and showing your ID. It has to be more than showing your ID because showing your ID and doing your ballot is only one part of it. Then you have the machine that you scan it into. It needs to be a hand count. You need to have other people there to verify that's what they're counting. One time, look it over and verify that's it. That's you. That's your vote. Right now, you can't verify that your vote was counted a certain way. You can look online and it will say, oh, yeah, you voted. But for who? Now that we know the machines were flipping votes, how do I know my vote was going for my candidate? They can't tell me. They know how I register, but they can't tell me for sure who my vote went for. That's the problem. And having people that are not US citizens, they just shouldn't vote. If they're here illegally, they got to go. You can't do that in any other country. You got to go. You could there's if you're illegal, you're illegal. You're committing a crime. You committed a crime. You started off being here and committing a crime. You could go back and then come back the legal way. Then you would be legal. Still doesn't give you the right to vote. You have to become a United States citizen to vote. Just because you're here and you get a driver's license. And see, that's the issue with Washington State. Doesn't matter if you're illegal, you get a driver's license, they automatically are registering you to vote. You have illegals all over our voter rolls. You have 100 something thousand population in Everett with 300 something thousand voters. It doesn't make sense. That is clear fraud. So hopefully things get fixed. They have to get fixed because if the voting does not get fixed before midterms, it's game over. It's game over. Done. It has to be. There's no way to fix anything in this country if voter integrity does not get fixed by the midterms, which means that 2026 is going to be a hell of a year. Because if it doesn't get fixed, it's over. It's over. It's any my recommendation for anybody listening is if midterms, if we don't get election integrity and you don't have to show a voter ID by midterms, and they let the Democrats swoop in and steal like they have been, it's just game over. I recommend you delete all your social media and you just get into survival mode because it's going to be like Mad Max around here. It's going to be Snake Island, Mad Max. You need to really question. You're going to have a lot of coming to Jesus moments if that happens, because it's not going to be good. It's going to be absolutely, absolutely horrible. And the U.S. that we know, it will be officially just done. It will be gone. And it right now, it's looking in the favor, but it could go either way. So hopefully, hopefully that's the bright side on the horizon. And all the other stuff that comes along with it is just fodder. and hopefully the fraud keeps getting exposed. But for those of you in Everett, yeah, we live in the epicenter. We live in the epicenter of fraud, waste, and abuse. We live in the epicenter of where COVID started right here in Everett, right at Providence Hospital, right in the heart of fraud. A known documented fraudulent virus created in a lab to lock people up. And our prosecutors here in Snohomish County have absolutely no balls to go and prosecute these people because you have nobody on the city council that'll look everybody else in the face and constantly tell them that this prosecution has to happen because innocent people were killed, and no other way to put it, they were murdered. You injected them with a poison that eventually killed them. And you could look up myocarditis. You can look up all the rogue turbo cancers that are created because of it. It's all coming out. It's all factual. It's all proven, proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was a completely criminal, hostile act. People like Fauci and Bill Gates, they should be tried right here in Snohomish County. They should be tried right now. There's no reason why the prosecutor can't get off his ass and say, we're going to prosecute these people right now and actually do it. And you know what? They'll go after small fucking business owners, but they won't go after these people that killed thousands of people. So, especially prosecutors like the one in my case, they can piss off. They're just weak cowards who, right there, it tells you that they lied and they manipulate. And as far as I'm concerned, any case that they prosecuted since that's probably bullshit, and they probably lied and hid evidence. So that's just how Washington rolls. That welcome